Let's take you now from Kyiv, the capital in Ukraine, to Washington, where Nancy Cordes is standing by at the White House and where the Biden administration is expected to announce major sanctions against Russia today. Nancy, what do we know about these sanctions?
Hi, Vlad. Well, we know that the sanctions are going to be announced in a matter of hours. We know that the U.S. has been working in concert with its U.S. allies, and we know that these sanctions are going to go at Russia itself, rather than these separatist regions that Charlie has just been describing, which got slapped with limited U.S. sanctions yesterday. Beyond that, what I can tell you is that we're seeing very interesting news out of Europe today, this morning, when it comes to sanctions. Already today, the UK has slapped sanctions on 5 Russian banks and 3 Russian oligarchs who have investments in energy and infrastructure. The EU announced sanctions against several Russian officials and Russian banks that have been funding the Russian military. And then perhaps most significant of all, Germany announced that it is going to be stopping certification of Nord Stream 2. That is this massive new pipeline for natural gas that goes from Russia to Germany. This is a step that the Russians had been unwilling to commit to publicly. In fact, the leader, the Russian, German chancellor rather, was here at the White House, asked repeatedly just a couple of weeks ago whether he would take this step, and he wouldn't say whether he would or not. But now that is exactly what they're doing, a sign of how concerned European and U.S. leaders are, and a sign of how far they're willing to go to try to deter Putin from moving further into Ukraine.
Nancy, earlier this week, and by that I mean just yesterday, it seemed like diplomacy still had a chance. We were talking about the possibility of President Biden and Vladimir Putin meeting. But Secretary Blinken and his Russian counterpart were going to have to get together later on in this week to hammer out, the possibilities or the parameters. Is that even still a thing at this point?
Well, we know that the State Department has not yet officially canceled that meeting, but it does appear to be on shaky ground. In fact, just a short time ago, the Deputy National Security Advisor, John Feiner, here at the White House said that the White House is going to leave that decision up to the State Department, but that clearly the path for diplomacy is shrinking. And obviously, at this point, the prospects for a summit between President Biden and President Putin, which had been discussed even a couple of days ago, well, that looks like a very slim chance indeed.
So, Nancy, let me ask you briefly, is the White House calling this an invasion yet? And if not, why not? I note that on a briefing call just yesterday, there was language from senior Biden administrations about the Donbass region and why, and the fact that Russian troops have been there for many, many years, almost sort of saying this is sort of what everybody already knew. And I think that there's some people that are calling the Biden administration out on that, including, as I mentioned earlier to Anne-Marie and Charlie D'Agata, Senator Rubio, who appeared on our air this morning on CBS Mornings, who indicated that you can't use that kind of squirrely language around this. It's either an invasion or it's not an invasion.
Right. They are really trying to thread this semantic needle right now, saying that not that Russia has invaded, but that Russia appears to be at the start of an invasion into Ukraine. Why are they making that distinction? Well, because the reason that the minute that this goes from being the threat of an invasion to an actual full-scale invasion, then obviously the U.S. stance, the European stance becomes very different. And they stop talking about diplomatic options, and they really start talking about punishments, about slapping these full-scale sanctions that have been discussed so frequently on Russia, and things start to happen very quickly. So what they are saying right now, and obviously this could change hour by hour depending on what Russia does, what they're saying right now is that because Russian troops, these so-called peacekeepers, have gone into parts of Ukraine that were already controlled by Russian separatists, that already had played host to Russian troops, they're not calling it a full-scale invasion yet. But if those Russian troops were to leave those separatist-controlled regions that that Putin now describes as independent. If they were to move into other parts of Ukraine, controlled by the Ukrainian government, the Ukrainian military, then I believe that you would see the White House and European leaders taking a very different stance and using very different language. The challenge for the White House here is that they are trying to stay on the same page with their European allies. And so right now, they're not ready to call this a full invasion of Ukraine, but they are inching toward it, saying that they're seeing the start of an invasion right now.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.